Let's take a look at creating a retention policy in the new Microsoft Purview experience. So, as we know, a retention policy is a way to make sure that when we delete items in our 365 tenant, they're not actually deleted. They might go away from our experience in there, but Microsoft holds on to that. So it can be used in an e-discovery case or for whatever the government says you need to have it for, right? Certain lengths, certain types have different lengths. So you can create customized retention policies based on your needs. So let's go ahead and take a look. So in here, we are going to click on View All Solutions, and we're going to go to the Data Lifecycle Management. Once we're in here, we are going to create a policy. So we're going to create a retention policy. As you can see, there's none in here. So we create a new retention policy. We're going to call it just baseline. This is what I want to be generic for all of them. So the entire organization will have this. So it is going to be a static one, not adaptive, because I don't have an E5 license. But static means I'm telling it exactly what to retain and for how long. Adaptive has, again, other adaptive features to it where it can determine what kind of content can be retained. We'll stick with static. Now that we know that, it gives us the default. Exchange mailboxes, classic SharePoint sites and communication, OneDrive accounts, and groups and groups, mailboxes, and sites. So we're going to stay with those defaults, but there are many others to choose from. But say you wanted to add Teams channel messages, it turns these off because these are defaults. So if you want to do one of these, we'll set up a new retention policy that targets just those. So we're going to stay with these, the general ones for the entire tenant. And next, here's where you can say how long. So most of the time the government says 7 years, so we're going to stick with 7 years. But you see with the dropdown, you have other options, 5, 7, 10, or even custom, depending on what the requirements are. When do you want to start the retention period? We're going to start it when the items were created. But again, the dropdown allows you when they were last modified. And what do you want to do at the end? Delete the items automatically? Because sometimes you can only keep items for that certain amount of time. In our case, we don't fall under any of those jurisdictions, so we're going to say do nothing. So at 7 years, it's just going to stop retaining it. If you want, you can retain them forever or delete them when they reach a certain age. And we say next. Now we're reviewing it and submitting it. And what it's doing is it is publishing this policy, the retention policy, to our tenant. And from this point on, any items that are emailed, created, SharePoints, documents, things like that inside of our tenant are going to be retained. So can I delete it from my account? Yes. If I have a Word document and I deleted it, it'll go away. But it's not going to go away, permanently be deleted. It's going to be retained inside the tenant. So if there's an e-discovery case in 6 years, it can still discover that document. All right, that's how we create a retain policy.